Hello there, it's the great Johannes speaking. My full name is actually Johannes Matthias Conrad. I was born that way. This is probably my last opportunity to do a live stream with some Americans on board. Possibly they're getting banned. The TikTok is banning the USA. The USA isn't banning TikTok. TikTok is banning the USA on Sunday. On Sunday, US citizens won't be able to log into this stuff anymore. Uh, I've got some music in my inner ear. I don't know. It's copyrighted music, so probably I can't. That's why I can't play it to you and record it as well at the same time. Let's see if people are going to join me for the live stream here on TikTok. You can also find me on YouTube at the Great Johannes. All right. I had a lot of things on my mind today. I thought I'd just do like a casual little stream to tell you about what I was thinking about. Right. All right. Is everybody moving to Red Note, the Chinese app? Yeah. I don't know, man. I checked it out too, but it's Chinese, so not really useful app for me in this sense. Uh, all right, so I was thinking today, man. In Europe, there is a shadow war being waged. It's an old war that we've waged before. So where I live in the Netherlands, we used to have the 80-year war, and during the 80-year war, the Catholics in the south of the Netherlands were basically driven further south, driven out of the country, and new rule was established by the Protestants over the Catholics. Right? And I think nowadays, very sheepishly, though gradually, this is happening again. So the Catholics eventually, during the Contra Reformation, right, the Counter Reformation, the Catholics won back the territory that they lost. And now living in the south of the Netherlands, I was baptized Roman Catholic. I get the impression as though there's a silent war, a shadow war going on, and the Protestants are just trying to do it again. They're trying to slowly, gradually erase Catholic Christianity from the south of the Netherlands and replacing it with their more humanistic and universalistic version of Protestant Christendom. But we don't call it a war. We don't even call it an attack on Catholicism or something like that at all. We just call it um, nothing really. We don't talk about it. It's not even mentioned in the news because everybody's preoccupied with Russia. We're preoccupied with immigration and immigrants coming in and so on. Nobody's talking about the fact that the Catholic south of the Netherlands is being Protestantized. And then I realized the same thing is happening in Ireland. What do you think this is all about? The mass immigration into Ireland, dumping all these refugees there. It's a sort of Protestant humanistic push for it. Eh? Now, this is a very sensitive topic since, see, most white Christians in Europe are Catholics. Most white Christians in the USA are Protestant. So we're different people. There's a whole story that goes back to this that during the colonial age, it was really a conflict between the Catholic Church effectively pushing Protestants out. Protestant Christians arrived to North America as refugees, basically. They were chased off of the European continent by the Catholic Church. So there's this hidden war going on among white people. The Protestant whites and the Catholic whites are at war with each other, but nobody talks about it because we pretend as though we're not religious anymore. Religion is for the past. And then why are the Protestant humanists and so on still pushing Catholicism out? So I feel that the real war, the real war, of course, is and always has been a war of values and behaviors and culture and so on. And that means that in Europe, there's a potential for a real religious, ethno-religious war between Catholic whites and against the world, basically, and everyone else. Right. I was fantasizing today about, you have Star Wars and Star Trek, right? Now imagine something else. Imagine a trilogy about the Holy Roman Space Empire. Basically, Catholic Christians conquer the universe, conquer the galaxy. And, I was also thinking about this fact that spaceships that spend most of their time in space that never really land on planets, they don't need aerodynamic features. So you can imagine picking up an actual European cathedral, right? Put it up like horizontally, no, vertically. So you have like a cross floating, like imagine a European cathedral floating in space. And the bottom side is now the back side of it. It has like thrusters to blast it forward. And you imagine you have like a Christian cross, a spaceship in the shape of a Christian cross flying through space, hunting down Christophobes and killing them, wiping them out. So I imagine in my space trilogy about the Holy Roman Space Empire, you would have these vessels, spaceships for hundreds of thousands of people, the size of a huge European cathedral, and they're basically, they've conquered the galaxy, but now they're just hunting down the remaining rebellion, the Christophobes hiding in several planets here and there. That would be an awesome movie. So basically, the Catholics would be the bad guys, but they're winning, and I like that attitude of being the bad guy who's winning. You know? Oh, AI can draw that for me. Yeah. Why don't I try this out for a moment? I got my Twitter X gave me a complimentary subscription, so I can use Grok now. I guess everybody can. Grok, show me a European cathedral flying through space, hunting Christophobes. Oh, something went wrong. Please try again. Okay. That's not very helpful, this stupid fucking AI. I'll try again. Show me a European cathedral flying through space. Something went wrong. Please try again. I can't use it right now, but maybe you can. Right? I don't really care about the AI technology, man. I would prefer... I'm teaching myself how to draw. I got some pencils and so on. Because I don't just want to use AI to generate, I think it is still very meaningful for you to learn to draw and paint yourself. So you can almost visualize your own dream exactly the way you saw them in your dreams. And that's something AI can't do because they can't look in your head, of course, right? Should I explain to somebody the difference between a European and a sub-Saharan? I'm not going to do that. Make Europe Christian again, yeah. Make Europe Catholic again. Which war do you want? You want the race war or the religious race war? Which one's more fun? No, spaceships don't have to re-enter the atmosphere. It's like if you have a really big-ass spaceship that just stays out in space forever, it doesn't need to land and it doesn't need to have aerodynamics. I'm talking about really big ships the size of half a planet or something, right? Or not that big, perhaps. But say like the size of a small nation, like the Netherlands. Imagine a ship that size. It doesn't need to land on any planet ever, Who is Alistair Reynolds? Alistair. Got my Google over here. Reynolds. All right. Oh, science fiction writer. Oh, he wrote something. I might look into that. Yeah, that's funny. A Welsh science fiction author. Very interesting. Space opera. All right. I think we are headed toward an intersection. No, what do you call it? A T-junction in Europe. We either go left or right. We go toward the ethno-religious struggle where Christian Europeans are going to fight for dominance over all others in Europe, or we're going left to basically suicide and a quiet little death. But I was reading today, and I read something that goes like, for every dwindling end, there's a new explosive beginning. So that's what we're aiming for, right? UK will be Christian again, yeah. But I don't know, should it be the Protestants and the Catholics teaming up against Islam? Or is it just going to be Catholics against Islam and Protestants? I don't know, what are you guys going to do? Re-evangelize. Yeah, re-evangelize Europe, yeah. So what do you think of a TikTok ban in the USA? I don't know if it's real. They may postpone it for another 270 days or so. So it's just a game of cat and mouse. They're trying to get something out of the Chinese manufacturer, the Chinese owners, They obviously want full control. The U.S. Deep state wants full control over TikTok so they can use it as their propaganda weapon. Did I explain to you why they want to ban TikTok? Ask the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League in the USA. It's because too many people on this app were organically pro-Palestine, and that's it. That's the reason. They're just so freaking afraid that people might not like Israel anymore, but even though almost no one likes Israel anyway. My latest book, well, don't know by heart. Well, what was the last one that I published? You know, I go to my writing. You should just check my books on my Author Central in Amazon. Although my name on Amazon, my book name is Matthias Conrad. You know, my full name is Johannes Matthias Conrad. So you can look up my Matthias Conrad there in all books. You know, I've written fiction and nonfiction. So in terms of fiction, I think the last one I wrote was Behold the Wanderer. I like that one a lot. And if you like to read a book about deconstructing the scientific worldview, basically materialism, it's an eternal struggle exposing the scientific worldview. I like that one too, yeah. Oh, the Supreme Court has upheld the TikTok ban. Well, if that's true, then by Sunday you'll be gone. I won't really miss you too much, the Americans, because most of my followers are international English-speaking people. I think a third of them nowadays are from Britain, 2/3 international, and maybe just 2 or 3% Americans. Not that many, but then again, you know, no one is going extinct, man. Those are the sayings of, you know, cowardly, insecure people. We're not going extinct, man. Come on. There's a reason why you wish we would go extinct, because you're fucking terrified of us. All right. Hi, Kenny. You follow me on YouTube. Yeah, I started an Instagram account recently. Also the same username at the great JMK. You can follow me on there. I will repost my TikTok materials there. Not all of them, but I think the ones that I like to post over, I will post them over to Instagram, right? It's not about numbers, bro. It's about quality. Who started the modern world? Who started the modern world? White people. You're just living in the world we built for you. So if we go extinct, that means you go extinct. Because how the fuck are you supposed to survive without us babysitting you? What do you think about Libya? It's a country. Gaddafi's dead. I liked Gaddafi. That doesn't mean I like Islam. I like the style of the dictator, the way he dealt with things. But now he's dead, so... Exactly. Who will give the Africans food? I talk to so many Africans who think that they're a net food exporter, but they're not. They import almost all of their food, and half of it from the West, and a lot of that from Europe. So if Europe would cut out food, they'd be starving, man. Like things like grain and also the fertilizers that they need to grow their food. Where do you think that comes from? Again, it comes from Europe and Ukraine and Russia and so on. These guys are cooked, man. If Europe falls, Africa is cooked. Yeah, well, no. Somebody says we'll be fine without whites. You weren't exactly fine when we found you, dude. You were eating each other. You weren't fine. I'm going to have a little sip of water, please. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the occult, if that's okay. Roman Catholicism, or Catholicism, the Christian Catholicism, it's very different from Protestantism in that Catholicism was based on the old Egyptian paganisms that were then introduced to Europe. Whereas Protestantism is based more on the prophets of Mosaic Judaism. So that's totally different. And Protestantism denies the concept of magic and they prefer logic. Catholicism does not deny the existence of magic, right? So modern science comes a bit more from Protestantism, whereas what we would call backward thinking would be the Catholic way. But Catholicism, uh, it has to be seen as the exact opposite of Protestantism. Everything that Protestantism is, Catholicism isn't. So even though both are supposed to be Christian, right? But of course, one is more based on the New Testament. That's Catholicism. Old Testament. That's Protestantism, and that's a huge difference. The idea of a white supremacy comes from the Old Testament, not from the New Testament, for example. Right. All right, I like it. There's like a bunch of people watching my live stream here. Yeah, so my name is Johannes Matthes Conrad. I'm a podcaster, author. I even produce music in my spare time. I'm a music producer, so I'm going to try to use my music skills from now on to produce songs more like chants for the new empire that we're going to build in Europe. I'm looking for ways to reach more people and inspire them, European Christian type people, inspire them to go and do something absolutely extraordinary that we couldn't have imagined doing before, because we can't go on like this. This road, the road we're on, it's done, man. It's just done. I'm gonna take this off. Logging on. You might hear some background music, but it's weird to hear my voice through while wearing the headset. It's all muffled, and I don't really like that. Let's put this away for a moment. Yeah, I'm a Roman Catholic by birth. I can't help it. That's just what happened to me. But I spoke about this before, the whole LGBT left and so on. They want to tell you you can change your gender, move to another nation, and learn another language. That's what they always tell you, right? And I found that in my personal life, I should do the exact opposite. So I was living abroad, came back to my country, the Netherlands. I can speak my own language here, of course, outside. Obviously not thinking of changing my gender. But I decided to embrace whatever I was, the way I was born, meaning male, Christian, Roman Catholic, white, European, Southern Dutch, Catholic, and so on. So I repeated myself. And that is, I think, the most confident thing you can do. Simply accept what you were when you were born and then run with that, expand on it, improve upon it, but don't deny it and don't go against it. You go with it, going with God rather than against God in this sense, right? The current Pope is probably Jewish. Yeah, the world is the world doesn't care about Europe at all that much. They love our technology and they speak our language. Have you noticed this? They're using our electricity. Be proud of it, yeah. Honoring our ancestors by cherishing what we've inherited from them. Exactly. Now, the Pope is a Jew from Argentina with Italian roots, but he's still Jewish. Just like Milei of Argentina is also Jewish. A lot of these people are actually from Ukraine. Milejkovsky. Like Benjamin Netanyahu. His ancestry is from Ukraine. They're Ukrainian Jews. Frequently, magicians have been epic warlords who took an active part in battle and were, because of their efficiency in war, a light unto others. I'm reading to you from some excerpts. Like, the magician is the servant and the representative of his god. In a sense, it's tyrant. And in a state of ecstasy, he is even able to direct his god's incarnations. Basically, the whole idea, in the occult spheres, there are people who believe that you can have a sensation called ecstasis, as though your mind were separated from your body. And your mind can then either assume other forms, like you could be like an animal or something, like a wolf, right, or a bear, or the god assumes your body for a while you're in this ecstatic state. I think what they call it is theophany, probably. So there's people who believe that magic is absolutely real, and this goes against the modern belief in science, where everything is calculated, like the immutable laws of physics and their unchanging constants. That is a very different belief system than, say, the older occult system. Maybe I should explain that modern science developed from the occult. Basically, there was a bunch of occultists having a quarrel with each other, deciding which version of occultism was the true one. And that's when you had this radical branch split off from occultism who focused on logic, and that's what became modern science. Normally, I block people like this African parrot, but let this fool spill his gut today. Greetings from Germany. Thanks for speaking your mind. Yeah. You feel alone in your area. Well, in Germany, you have this extreme censorship. I wouldn't want to live there right now. No, that's very difficult. But the same is going on in the UK. UK censorship is probably even more extreme than in Germany. You get jailed for everything, man. You get jailed for retweeting stuff, for watching me. You get jailed. But I wonder how much longer I will last in the Netherlands. They're going to crack down on this stuff here too, You live in Spain, it's horrible, like the censorship? Wow, that's amazing, yeah. Unbelievable. Oh, I missed out on a bunch of your comments already. Love from Greece, all right. One of your grandsons wants to be a scientist. He said not one of these lying ones, but a true one. Oh, okay. Well, that's a good one. Right. So the problem is too many scientists. They need funding, and they work for people who give them the funding. So it's very difficult to be like an independent scientist, probably. Are there any other Arminius type figures that you should research? The heroes of the Germanic world, like real ones or mythical ones? If you want to look up the mythology, go find Jan de Vries. I'll type it in. Jan de Vries is like the chief author in this field. Jan de Vries is he wrote several books on Norse mythology. If you want to read a book about Odin, then find the one by Stefan Grundy. It's called the Cult of Odin. But yeah, if you want to have heroes from the past, the Siegfried saga, clearly. Some people say that Siegfried and Arminius are one and the same person, but you can check that out for yourself. Or if you want to have like the Celtic hero, Vercingetorix, or the French say Vercingetorix, Vercingetorix. Who else do we have in England? Well, you have Beowulf from Britain. Beowulf. They're all a bit related. Beowulf, Arminius, Siegfried, all kind of may end up pointing to somewhat of the same character. Yeah. Someone says I need more fun in life, but I think fun is for children. So some people just want to build empires, man. We don't need to laugh that much. It's stupid. We're not children. It's like there's a sign in Hungary when you walk past a barber shop in Hungary. It says this: there's only two kinds of people without a beard, women and children. Oh shit! I don't have a beard, of course, but it's funny humor. See, I do have humor. I just don't think it's appropriate when your people are, so unaware of what's coming. Then you should focus more on, okay, what can we do? How do we do it? When do we do it? Where do we do it? Right? I'm much more consumed with questions of achieving a revival for our people. Rutte Pier, that's also a great hero from Friesland, right? Or from the north at least. Or at least I think so. Somebody asked me in Dutch, how do we make more people study technical studies like physics or astrology or so astronomy? Sorry, astronomy. I think you need to study. We need more priests. Actually, the priestly class has been hollowed out in Europe. It's just baffling. We need more priests, and especially priests who are magicians, who know how to change the reality. Right? Science is one thing. Technology will always be used in some way or form, but ultimately, I think greater powers can be won through the priestly side of this thing. Let me see if I can read some more about this here. Why is that? Why do human beings have these religious rituals and ceremonies? Right? There's some end to it. What you are doing is you are awakening your God, so that your God becomes basically actively involved in the shaping of the world through the God's prophets or magicians or priests and so on. Right? You're gonna go to Hungary in March. Should be nice. The hot baths are really great. The thermal baths, they're really great in Hungary. If you go to Budapest or elsewhere, you have yeah, I've been there. I've been to the statue of Arminius in Detmold. Yeah, I liked. It was a few years ago. I went there. Yeah, I was on a road trip. Here's the quote. But to this day, every dwindling end has always been followed by a vigorous new beginning. So Europe isn't going to die, man. Europe is going to have its vigorous new beginning, but the time to start this is now. So that's why I often talk about, let's get going. Let's go and do what needs to be done, man. Let's see if I got some more interesting quotes for you. I have some images here. The man with the greatest force of imagination is commanding of the world and creates realities according to his will, instead of being the slave of an unsubstantial, bodiless empiricism. Empiricism fulfills the laws of probability, but imagination makes the impossible real. The pure empirical man is the entropic type, or like a calculating type, or the result of something, which leads to the complete devaluation of cosmic energy. The imaginative man, the magician, is the actual force of the ectropic, of the shaping, of the renewal of the world, remodeling of the world, the new birth of being. We need more priests and magicians. I think you need to see it like this. The far left are using science to create the world the way they want to, but they do it in a very calculating manner that does not involve the soul, free will, right? It's more like an ant hive or like a collective, right? Whereas the opposite would be sort of spiritual lions with the force to create their own world, right? If that makes sense. I don't always make sense, so that's okay. Magic is autogenic exertion of power on the basis of imagination. And we have gained a new definition for the notion of reality. Reality is the becoming an image of our deepest essential powers. Truth is nothing receptive, but something creative. Wow, okay. This is all very occult, right? Very dark. Hold on, let me move the screen a little bit like so. All right. So, I was baptized Roman Catholic, and I'm just running with it. So, there's not much I can do about it. Mr. Malaprop or whatever, How do I explain that India has 1.4 billion population but almost 0 gold medals at the Olympic Games? Well, for one thing, they were never good hunters when they were hunter-gatherers. They were the gatherer race, apparently. They're just physically feeble, man, physically weak. That's why they target teenage girls in the UK, right? Because they could never take on a grown woman. People telling me to calm down. They must be really afraid of me. What do you care what I talk about, man? Jesus. Go live your own life. So people have inalienable rights. They are your God-given rights. People need to hear them, right? This parthenogenesis of God in us, this primeval creation of a sense out of the senseless, is the darkest secret of existence. And it is the actual principium individuationis, or the actual act of creation, and withstands every thinking dissection and every potential imagination that it itself might be the origin and foundation of every thought and every imagination. Okay, this is a bit difficult sentences to read, but you know. The magical man is now, as we have already indicated, a man with the highest abilities, with such a great creative power of projection that he is able to affect every perception until it reaches the last material reality. His perception of God will therefore be pictorial. Right? I think North Europeans were hunters because we needed protein to survive in the cold. The plants don't grow here, so we had to hunt for big game animals. So for a very long time, for thousands and thousands of years, my people lived off of meat and dairy and blood. You know, blood too. Yeah, the Eskimo, the Inuit, they still drink blood sometimes, fish blood. Do you think there are sub-races, and can you explain it? Yeah, of course there are, and it's mostly psychological. I read a research that before organisms separate into races, they first start behaving differently. So the first changes are psychological, and therefore, if you perceive psychological, cultural differences between people, you can say they are already different races. Whether the genetics confirms it or not isn't even relevant. If they behave differently, the way Muslims behave differently from Christians, you're effectively different races anyway. The ultimate goal of my activism is to reboot something, a sort of center of power in Europe. It should be religious and ethnic, ethno-nationalist, so that our people can begin to thrive again. And basically in total disregard of whatever the rest of the world is doing. We don't need to do what the Americans are doing, but certainly not what the Indians or the Chinese or the Africans or the Arabs are doing. And when we feel threatened, we take out the threat. That's my goal. We need to make Europe strong again, right? A strong, ethnically aware Europe that will simply put its stamp on this globe once again. The magician is not content with experiencing his God merely emotionally, but with the imagination he lets him take shape and integrates him materially into the environment. For this purpose, he projects his perception of God into the surrounding space and localizes it at a certain place. This process can happen voluntarily or involuntarily, but it involves in any case that which is called theophany. That is to say, the becoming an image of the God on a hallucinatory basis. Such theophany is very rare and requires a special power of the imagination sphere. You know, we're talking about how to be a magician. I guess the topic of this stream is we need more priests and magicians, but then how do you do that? How do you be a magician? I shall build a statues of Johannes one day. Yeah, why not, huh? I should perhaps have a statue where I gaze up toward the stars or something, because that's where we're going next, right? Do you feel it's possible to remove Europe's economic dependency on Asia's and Africa's resources? Yeah. Everything's possible. The Germans already did that once. During World War II, the Germans were disconnected from oil from the Middle East. And you know what they did? Germany still has a lot of coal. I think Germany still has like 15 or 20% of all the coal in the world. And they learned to turn coal into jet fuel for their airplanes, and even into rubber. And did you know they could even turn coal into edible butter? So That's alchemy. So let's make the distinction between science, technology, and alchemy. The world of alchemy in our world has not been explored as much as technology has. We can go a lot farther in the direction of alchemy, I'm sure. So we can do things that will appear almost magical, like turning coal into edible butter and jet fuel and rubber and so on. Nothing's impossible, right? The Germans invented a synthetic rubber that was better than the real rubber from the rubber tree. And so the British were trading the real rubber, but the Germans were able to synthetically produce it for cheaper. And so they bankrupted the British rubber trade during World War II even. So anything's possible, man. We just need to go and explore a lot of avenues that we have not explored because we are so overly focused on just technology when there's other things to explore. Alchemy, magic, Do you think the Forum for Democracy is a good choice or not? Well, on the content, yes. In the Netherlands, we have this party, the Forum for Democracy. On the content, yes, but then why does the leader support Israel? Why is he a Zionist? I don't get that. No, the African resources don't feed us. Actually, Europe feeds Africa. Africa imports like a third of its food from Europe. Europe is a net exporter of food. So, hey, what's the definition of magic? Yeah, I'm talking about it. The magician is the heroic man who, despite being conscious of his tragic lifeline, is still following it for the will of the God who is pushing him. Deep stuff, man. I'm going over the magician is the man who is always newly able to enter the status nascendi, the state of being born, and in whom the latent energies are always newly breaking up, just like dark memories. So a magician, basically, magic is the ability to tap into the infinite possibilities of your imagination and turn them into materially real outcomes. That's magic, right? Have you ever met a Pan-Africanist that lives in Africa? So in Greece, we had an actual far-right party that was third in the parliament. Was it the Golden Dawn, that one? All right. Yeah, you like my videos? Thank you very much, man. What should Europe do about falling birth rates? Okay, we need to focus on quality first. That's always important. But then let's do away with, I can answer your question. How do we solve the birth rate problem in Europe? The answer is we are being held hostage by a bunch of bureaucrats who are slightly autistic, who have trouble imagining the real world because they only work with PDF documents and PowerPoints and so on, and abstract graphs and tables. We need to somehow get those people to surrender their power to a more religiously oriented leadership, ethno-religious, ethno-nationalist, right? And then it should be easy. We simply award young women housing. Get young women into housing to start having kids. The lack of housing is a contraceptive. The sooner you get young women into housing, the sooner they start having kids. That's the real solution. And for us in Europe, that also means get the old people out. Get the old people out. Like, remove the foreigners from the asylum centers, put the old people in the asylum centers, and then put the young women in the old people's homes. Problem solved. It could be done in a year. Yeah, do all the world's nationalists live in Europe? Well, we have a lot of nations in Europe. I'm gonna see if I can read some more to you. what is this? A true magician will understand and use occult phenomena of all kinds to create, but the first and highest goal is to the divine and to be one with his God. Whether or not you choose to exercise and develop any magic ability, it must be said that what abilities are developed are totally dependent on the level of ecstasy you obtain. Ecstasy doesn't mean using drugs. Ecstasy means you could use drugs to achieve it. It comes from the Greek word ekstasis, to stand without, to stand outside of yourself. An outer body experience, right? Where your mind goes separate. In that state, you will discover that you still exist, but you're no longer physical. Your body is more like an animal at that point, someone to, like a creature to take care of almost, right? In that state, they say that's when you develop your magic abilities. Right? But it's not for the weak-hearted, because any indiscriminate experimentation of certain phenomena is strongly advised against, because curiosity without commitment will destroy everything and possibly yourself too. So magic is dangerous. The demise of medieval magic in Europe was initiated by the Reformation of the Protestants and the rising humanism that naturally followed. Since the Reformers traced back to early Jewish Christianity, which was based on the prophets but not on the orthodox, magically oriented cult, they therefore primarily fought against the magic foundation of Catholicism. That's what I started talking about during this show. All right, that's a bit. You know, when you start looking up books about occultism, it's all really odd, and I think most of it is total nonsense. So don't take it too seriously. All right. TikTok is getting banned. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. You know, I wonder if they will. If they ban it in the US, I think they will also ban it in the Netherlands. But then I will use a VPN or something to get back on it. So you can learn resources, you have it or you don't. We can simply obtain the know-how. Right? I don't know what that means, man. I don't smoke, but I do drink alcohol sometimes. Yeah, dry red wine from South Africa, for example. Or now they're going to call me a colonizer because I drink their wine or something, right? But Europeans invented wine. No. No, I don't know who invented wine, but it wasn't sub-Saharan Africans. So. Is Marvel code word for sub-Saharan tribal barbarism? I drink red wine because it mimics or symbolizes blood, right? That's what wine is. It's a substitute for, you know, when Christ in the Bible says, here's my blood, or here's my wine as though it were blood, right? And here's my bread as though it were my flesh, right? It's a cannibalistic theme. We're not really eating anybody, but it's the symbolism of eating the God. And what happens when you would eat a piece of your God? You become more divine. You absorb it, you internalize it, becomes part of you, right? You become more divine, more connected to your God that way. So, you think red wine tastes like vinegar? I don't think so. I think red wine tastes like wine. I am on the Red Note app. I posted 2 videos, but I have no reason to continue using it. It's just a gimmick right now. Australia's wine is the best? All right. All right. You think Spanish wine is supreme? Okay, I'll try the Spanish wine. I'm a Catholic Christian, but the thing with Catholicism is that it was actually based on ancient Egyptian occultism, the rituals at least, and so on. So. Europe can't run out of resources because we have intelligence and we'll figure shit out, man. We'll do things the other way. I just spoke about that. If we look into the avenues of alchemy more than technology, we'll find that there's a lot more to discover in that field. So we're just going to go a different direction. We'll be fine. I would love Europe to get colder as a continent, like not quite Siberian, but more like Canada or so. That would be great. African Christians are not my brothers. Bishop Marmari Emmanuel. What about him? Is he? Oh, that one. He's like Orthodox bishop, right? Yeah, I obviously have heard of him because he's all over TikTok. He's the one who almost got stabbed, right? Right. Yeah, I like a lot about this guy, but I don't necessarily. He dresses like a magician, so that's interesting. Spain needs to be a bit colder too. Yeah, everything in Europe can be a bit colder. It would be fine, right? Do you think a TikTok ban will spark a real physical revolution in the US? No, no. But you also won't go back to Facebook and Instagram. I think you're just going to find something new. Maybe not Red Note, but something new will pop up, and then you'll just go there. Right. You want warm weather in Wales? Okay. Of course, Jesus was white. It's very simple. Of course, he was a European. Because the story of Christ's death and resurrection around late December, that makes sense if you live in Europe where we have winter and summer seasons, right? And then you have the shortest day and the sun comes back and life returns. That's what inspired the story of Christ. You don't have this in Central Africa. You don't have that in the Middle East as much. So there's a lot of things about, for example, Easter. The Easter is when Christ is supposed to resurrect at Easter, which is of course coincides with the returning of sunlight in the northern hemisphere, in the far north, the Arctic Circle almost. So it's all a very interesting connection. Yeah? Why would I be a Muslim? Yeah, I have a VPN software on my phone. I'll use it if necessary to get back on TikTok, but I live in the Netherlands, and for now they're not banning it here. At least I have not heard of them doing so. But the Netherlands usually does what the US does. So if the US is really going to ban TikTok, then maybe we'll ban it here too. But anyway, I'll find my way back. All right. Even the Yahtzees knew that Germany was a resource poor. Germany is actually not resource poor. Germany still has like 15% of the world's coal supply. They can use that to run an army. They can turn it into jet fuel, run airplanes. They did that in World War II. They're not resource poor. We don't need to invade Africa because you're already giving us everything you have for cheap. Your leaders are selling it for like cheap, so we don't need to invade you. No, I don't support LGBT, man. Come on. All right. I've been talking about some bunch of occult stuff this sitting. Uh, let's see if there's more to talk about. Oh, I got like 8,000 likes during this. Really? That many? That many people hit the like button, huh? It's amazing. Let's see what it all means. People sent me roses and hearts, and okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. Uh, I'm gonna respond to things that make sense now. I'm not gonna ignore all the other nonsense. Yeah, Australia is resource rich and we get ripped off. Did you know that Ukraine and Greenland are also extremely resource rich, and we Europeans just need to go grab that and go do whatever we want with it, and leave the Americans out of it for a while. Yeah. Do you support the Confederate States of America and what it stood for? Probably. I think I would support that. Yeah. Without black people though. No, I don't support Israel, man. Oh, it's almost 9,000 likes now. Yeah, we're going to get to the 10K, huh? We're doomed. Nah, don't think like that, man. Do you support the European Union? No, not unless we turn it into something like the Holy Roman Catholic Empire. Yeah. The EU is a Bolshevik leftist communist experiment that is dying. So how is the EU supposed to last for longer than a decade more or so? I don't see it. Are Jewish people white? Yeah, lots of them look white, but we don't call them white, right? They have a pale skin, many of them. But you got black Jews too. You got brown Jews too. So it's not really it. Do you know? No, I don't know. No, Jewish people aren't white. We don't call them white. They're not white. They're a different race. What do you think about Groningen in the Netherlands? In the north, we have like gas fields. We have a massive gas bubble there that could fuel us with cheap fuel for like another few hundred years, I think. And they supposedly, allegedly, filled it with concrete. I think they're afraid for two reasons. They're afraid the Russians might get it, and they're afraid, and they want us to buy the much more expensive American gas. Right? We're not in an end game per se. The end game is simply that the old system will die and something new will be reborn, and we are going to be responsible for it. We're going to make the new thing happen. I always speak because I truly believe we can come up with a new sort of civilization in Europe, on European soil, with our people, but not the same people. We will do away with the bureaucrats and the scribe class and so on, the journalists, right? And then we start over with more like a warrior cult, a priestly class, and a new aristocracy and royalty, for example. Do you support apartheid? Well, apartheid implies there's going to be people of many different races living closely together. I obviously don't support that. It's going to be more like a Europe for Europeans thing to me. So we won't need apartheid. Let me see. I'm going to try to respond to your questions, man, because I like some of you are very clever, and I enjoy ancient Daggerland, yeah. Are Slavic people white? I spoke about this many times. They look white to me, but a lot of people who move to Ukraine and Russia, Western Russia especially, along the Baltic Sea, they definitely are Nordic type peoples, man. I met women from Ukraine who look like Norwegian. Basically, you would not see the difference. They're from Ukraine, but they look like Norwegian white women. So yeah, obviously they're white people. But then you have like the real hard Slavic types where you can distinctly see that they have a Slavic face. Are they white people? Yeah, I suppose. Do you think I'm the scientist who has to decide this? I'm not the CEO of whiteness. All right, right. Oh, do you? No. Ride the tiger, yeah, Evola. God is with us. Gott mit uns. The phrase "God is with us" used to be on the side, on the edge of Dutch coins before the euro. We had actually had that phrase, "God is with us." God zij met ons. It was on our currency, man, and they removed it with that stupid atheistic. Web3 and AI is apparently going to change the world. I have not noticed a damn thing about it. It turns out AI can't even do math. Then what's it good for? Do you consider Americans who descend from Europe to be your people? Yeah, I would probably need a lot of white people to return from the colonies, come back to Europe. And here we make our last stand against Islam and against mass immigration and diversity and so on. Because if Europe dies, then how are we supposed to, I think you can't. Europe is probably the most important place. If we have a strong Europe, then we can help the people in Australia, New Zealand, and the ones in Canada and so on. We can help South Africans. But without it, we have a lot of trouble. Will London be ahead of Europe? Be the head of Europe? Nah. I think London is going to be considered a special economic zone where white people don't even want to go there anymore soon, right? What in the clan is going on here, man? You must be new here. Martial arts and lifting, and also cardio. You got to do running, like athletics, right? And swimming, mountain biking, horse riding. You use your lifting to grow muscle, but then you also do cardio, meaning cardio is what allows you to go outside and hike up the mountain, right? Cardio is important, right? Yeah, Ukrainians are not Norwegians, but I told you I met a woman from Ukraine and you could not notice that she didn't look Norwegian, so that's my point. A lot of them look Nordic as fuck, man. You should go visit those places. See what they really look like there in northern Poland and northern Ukraine and Belarus and so on. You have so many people there who look Germanic and Nordic. Would you say diversity is our strength? No. Starmer signed a new law that if you go to a pub or bar and talk about what's going on, you'll be arrested. Oh, yeah. That's so fucking stupid. You're an American, you want to go back to Europe, right? Your great grandmother came from Hungary. Okay, Hungary is nice. Have you ever made dramatic cinematic battle music? Yeah, I've released 3 classical pieces, and yeah, it may be dramatic cinematic to some point. Yeah, one is called Death's Champion, and the other is called Vala's Prophecy. You may look these up. Vala's. Where's it going? Why is my keyboard messed up? Vala's. Or I don't know. This button is broken. Okay. Vala's Prophecy. There's supposed to be an apostrophe there. It doesn't work. And the other one is Death's Champion. By look up this music by Johannes Matz Conrad. It's on SoundCloud and I think also on Spotify and the streamers and so on. I'm the boss, yeah. Thoughts on East Asian culture? Yeah. I've traveled to Beijing once and to Qingdao, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and I thought those cities were, of course, extraordinary. But would I want to live there? Probably not. I think the Chinese people are, weird from my perspective. The way they live, it's just so different. It's very obvious that they're more collectivistic, more group oriented than we are in the West. That doesn't mean it's bad for them. It just means that it's probably not what we need in Europe. I used to follow Varg Vikernes, but then I kind of late after a while I started to think that maybe he's like a Jew or something, like a controlled opposition. Definitely, he hates Catholicism. So I read the book by Yuval Noah Harari. Yeah, he's a weirdo, man, total weirdo. He believes in that transhumanism. I'm not going to go there. We're not going to do transhumanism. I wrote a book called Return to Freedom. It's a very short book with aphorisms. And in my book, Return to Freedom, I wrote somewhere that this notion of the Nietzschean overman, of the Superman, it always implies that there's something wrong with us that needs to be improved upon, like the new man of socialism. And I started to rail against this. I don't believe that anymore. What if we would say to ourselves, to us Europeans, hey, there's nothing wrong with us. We don't need to change. What we should do, however, is double down. So I became more like a double downer instead of we have to become the overman kind of thing, right? If you stop believing or stop thinking that there's something wrong with you, simply accept that the way you are is how you're supposed to be and that you should be loved for who you are, the way you are, right? You become more confident because now you're no longer trying to fix yourself or improve yourself. You're just telling the world, hey, this is who I am. Deal with it. You're telling the world to deal with it. That's a much healthier attitude, I think, you know? Nah, Africa is never going to be a powerhouse, man. China is the next powerhouse. And China is exploiting Africa, so what do you want, you know? The myth about the Jews, where they are from, there are so many stories. Are they Khazarian from Eastern Europe? Are they really Middle Easterners? Or some say they're just Neanderthals who survived. What do you think about Sweden? I spent a lot of time in Sweden. I liked the countryside more than the cities, obviously. Stockholm, I could never live there. It's such a sea of vast, such a big city. And Malmo is a bit nicer near Lund. Lund was nice. And then you have Göteborg, Gothenburg. Yeah, no. No, thank you. That's just an industrial harbor city. It's just crazy. Göteborg, Gothenburg was founded by the Dutch, actually. Yeah, socialism doesn't work. That's right. We don't need socialism. We need some sort of but the capitalism that allows billionaires to get rich and then buy politics is not what I want either. I don't want Elon Musk in charge just because he has a lot of money. I think he's a bit of a weirdo. We need something that makes a lot more sense to a lot more people. Charlotte is laughing. Thank you. Well, Neander bikes. Why wouldn't Africa be a powerhouse? They have the resources, but they don't have the skill, not the intelligence or the creativity. You should watch this. There's a documentary called Empire of Dust. Empire of Dust. It shows you what's really going on here. Africans in their own country are just the servants to whoever goes shop in there. The Chinese are in charge of East Africa, and the West is still in charge of Western Africa. But these people, so far, they can't do it. They just don't have the intelligence. It's not my fault. I didn't do that. We didn't steal their intelligence, that's for sure. Do you think that the United States' demise is close? I wonder. They're going to spend a lot of money trying to get Greenland and Canada and so on. But when empires like that start to expand, it's when they basically sign their own death warrant. Yeah, they're not going to survive in the long term. But I do believe that before the US collapses, it will turn into an actual dictatorship with an emperor. Trump is already kind of an emperor. He has the style of an emperor, right? But it's going to get worse. and you might not get the ones you want. Everybody wants Baron Trump to become the emperor of the USA, right? But you're probably going to get something like a Hillary Clinton type, but the male version of Hillary Clinton, something like that, is going to rule the US as an emperor. No, I don't think the digital technology will rule people. Eventually, it's just not going to be sustainable. It's going to be too costly to operate this kind of thing. It's just going to break down. In Germany right now, people still pay with cash money because the Germans don't like to pay with cards, you know? And the German infrastructure couldn't handle a digital euro. Impossible. And then think of Romania and Bulgaria. It will never happen. It's nice to think that, oh, we could do it in the Netherlands, maybe, but you can't do it in Eastern Europe. So then you can't have a digital euro. No, Africans clearly are not 10 times as creative as Europeans. Whose technology are you using in your hand? Whose phone is that? You didn't invent this thing. Okay, now I'm tired of this freak. Get lost. Cathedrals and shit. The problem with Trump is he's also too old now. He's like 80 years old, and he has slow speech, and he's trying to do the same trick, but he's like, too slow. All right, I need to look into this CRISPR thing. I probably don't know what it is right now. Mr. Hitman, I'm not going to shave my head though. The phone technology was not invented by Syrians. It was invented by white people in the USA, right? Yeah. You actually respect me. Well, that's nice. Do you know Norman Lowell of Imperium Europa? A Maltese politician. I'm going to look into that guy. Yeah, Norman Lowell. Okay. From Malta. CRISPR is a gene editing technology. Yeah. So here comes the question. Do you really believe that you're just a scrapbook? Or no, I mean more like a string of numbers, your DNA. And that's what that's it. There's this whole other theory that you perhaps have inherited your soul, your personality, through other means than just DNA. How can your personality be encoded in your DNA? If there's only like 20 or 40,000 genes or so, what is it, 20,000 or 40,000, something like that, right? How can you have a gazillion billion different original thoughts in your head? It doesn't come from the genes, obviously. There's something else you're inheriting as well from your parents, and it's your soul, your ancestry, the spiritual dimension that science ignores. Real Arthur, you're one of my favorite people. Well, thanks for following, right? All right. The US is on the way to be a dictatorship, right? Yeah. Europeans need to get their act sorted out and start using the resources we have. Ukraine is nearby. It's full of resources underneath the soil, like $2 trillion worth of it. Greenland has a shit ton of resources. And then there's the whole North Pole region that Norway and Sweden and Finland can access. Start digging, man. We could do so much in Europe if we just had the right leadership. That's all. We just don't have the leadership because European leaders basically have been replaced by puppets that serve the USA. They don't serve our interests over here. Well, I got a really strange deja vu moment right now. Do you think the banks are going to fall? Yeah. Savings in euros will evaporate, yeah. Absolutely. I think that's the point. They're trying to bankrupt the middle class. So then they have a slave population. They can either replace you with more obedient ones, right? I think that's what they're doing. They're just trying to bankrupt the. Look, where's the money at? In the USA, the middle class owns more assets and savings combined than the top 10 banks. So that's where the money is. You know, they're eyeing it. So some people say money isn't real, but if you tax the middle class, they're going to have to sell their houses and their cars, right? They're going to have to forfeit their wealth, their real wealth, right? They stop having kids, for example. That's real wealth. That's what they're after. They're just trying to genocide us. But like I said, I've mentioned it twice before now. Every dwindling end has a vigorous new beginning. And we represent that beginning. If you're following me, you're listening to my stories, we are the new beginning. We're representing the new beginning. Yeah, Ireland has a lot of money, but they spend it so poorly, right? Oh, someone, Katja asked me if I spoke about abortion yet. No. So on my Dutch TikTok channel, we were talking about the abortion thing because in the Netherlands, we have a population of about 18 million people and 180,000 births a year. That's just about, on a yearly basis, only 1 in 200 women has a child. And in some cases, it's the same woman who had a child before too, right? And we have about 33,000 abortions. That's 1 in 7 fetuses in the Netherlands is aborted. In the USA, it's even worse. In the USA, in 2023, US women had 1 million abortions. And that was about 1 in 4.5, almost one, almost 1 in 4 fetuses was aborted in the USA. That's a goddamn genocide, man. But at the same time, we gotta open the borders and let mass immigrants in. But they are grown immigrants who also, in turn, are hardly having kids. Did you know in the Netherlands? Can you guess which group of people living in the Netherlands has the lowest birth rates? Which ethnic group has the lowest birth rates? It's black people. Black people in the Netherlands have the lowest birth rates. Does that surprise you? It doesn't surprise me because it's cold and dark here. It's just not conducive to the Negro fecundity, right? They're not having kids. The Surinamese blacks that live near Amsterdam, for example, they hardly have kids. But white women also aren't having kids. And I think the reason is the whole economic system is simply running on its end. The economic system is going down, and if we survivors, smart people who think ahead, if we manage to jump that ship, we could start something new. Every dwindling end has a vigorous new beginning. Yeah, 1 in 7. That's shocking. 1 in 7 fetuses in the Netherlands is aborted. It is shocking. Yeah. Bring on the Great Freeze. Yeah. Has there been much change in the Netherlands since the right took power? You mean like PVV and Geert Wilders? No, I haven't noticed much. They didn't close the borders. We still have 50,000 immigrants a year. We still have overflowing asylum centers. Nothing really changed yet. Nothing real. Donald Trump wants Greenland. What do you say? I would declare war. If I were the European Union, I would declare war over Greenland. Because Greenland is so full of resources, Europe needs to use that. How is it not the same when they say, well, Russia invaded Ukraine, therefore we must go to war with Russia? Okay, if Trump sets foot on Greenland, doesn't that mean we need to go to war with the US? Right? I don't get it. Why is one thing allowed and the other is somehow bad? You know? Do you have foreign classmates? No. Did you have foreign classmates? No. Maybe yeah, in kindergarten. No, in primary school we had like one Moroccan girl or something. Yeah. Kenyans emailed King Alexander and Queen Maxima not to visit Ruto. All right. I don't think the royal family is that corrupt. They're just, you know, socialites at this point. You're going on a tour with David Irving. All right, David Irving. All right. Is that the one, the author who wrote, who studied Hitler so much? David Irving. Yeah, that one, right? Yeah. Yeah, I tried reading some of his books, but they're huge, man. He has written a lot. It's very intense. Yeah, I know David Irving. Yeah, I read some of his books. Yeah. You changed your name from Abdullah to Björn, and now you're Swedish, right? Of course. I'm going to change my name to Li Huang. I'm a real Chinese person now. I'm Li Huang. Do you listen to rap music? No, I don't like. This one of the kinds of music that I really don't like. Rap music. All right. Christian Caucasians. They're not Europeans. They are Central Asians, right? I have this kind of debate before where a bunch of Iranians a year ago or so, they were so mad with me because they looked like brown Pakistanis and they insisted they were real white people. And because I said I didn't believe them, one of them was absolute total psychopath who starts reporting all my videos. Like for a whole year, he kept coming back to my page every day to report my videos. What a sick fuck that was, man. He didn't even look white and he thought he was a real white person because his dad had blue eyes. Therefore, he was a real white guy, right? No, he wasn't. Jesus, man. Some people are so weird about the fact that you're just not white. So, I'm not an African. I'm not an Indian. I'm not Chinese. I'm not from Taiwan. I don't look like a Japanese person. Do you think I'm going to stalk them and report all their videos if they don't, if a Japanese person doesn't believe that I'm Japanese? Jesus, man. No, I don't like Candace Owens. Are you going with Candace Owens? And it's controlled opposition. Then I don't trust David Irving anymore. You can't respond? You need to keep Candace Owens away from you because she is with the CIA people. You should know that, you know. All right, she's not coming. Okay. Are Albanians white? Like I said, I'm not the CEO of white people, man. In the end, it comes down, we will have a look at your face, we will look at your first name and last name, and if it sounds all right to us, then we'll accept you into the white people club. But if we have any doubts, you're going to Africa. What's your opinion on black people? I don't think about them that often. I see them on TikTok. What am I supposed to think of them, you know? They're loud. What's my jacket? This is it's sort of like a bomber jacket or something. I don't know what the brand is. I have no idea what it's called. Oh, here. It's called Vanguard. No, the jacket is called Vanguard by Racehead. Racehead. It's sort of a biker jacket or something. Yeah. Candace Owens definitely is a Fed here. Maltese are white, yeah. Are the Sami and other Finnic groups with some Siberian admixture white? What about Southern Europeans? You know, lots of Spaniards are directly of Germanic descent. The Visigoths went there and conquered even parts of North Africa. So it depends. Like I said, we're going to have a look at your face and your first name and last name, and then we're going to decide. Right? It's not like all people living in Finland are white. There obviously are these half Asians living in the north. They're not white. So, but what matters is that how come the whole world wants to be white, and how come white people don't give a fuck about being black? No, no, it's no. This is not, the brand is not Vanguard. The brand is Racehead, I think. No, it's a clothing brand, not the investment company. No. If you think those Iranians were bad, wait till you see Turks react if they say you're not white. I can imagine. Yeah. Although there are some, officially originally Western Turkey used to be populated by Greek people, and Greek people used to be kind of the white people. Look at their statues; they're perfectly white people, right? But then Greece, of course, was flooded, and Western Turkey was flooded. And basically, lots of them were raped by the Turkic peoples. Yeah. They hate us because they ain't us. Yeah. All right. Thank you for watching. Yeah, it was an interesting live so far. I'm gonna keep going maybe 10 minutes more or so. This was fun. I thought this was my opportunity to speak to some Americans before they are clocked out on Sunday, apparently. I don't really believe that TikTok is going away, but we'll see. Southern Europeans, depends. You gotta look at their face. Because in southern Spain, they were raped by the Arabs, and in southern Italy, they were also raped by the Arabs. So, you gotta look at their faces, man. Oh, there's a bunch of Americans here. Macy D and Chris Christ. Hold on. American. I'm not Danish. I'm Dutch. I live in the Netherlands. Yeah. Illinois. Cool. Oh, I do have a lot of Americans watching. All right. I don't know about the white hats. So, all right. I've been cracking jokes the whole live stream, having fun and smiling, and then someone asks me, "Do you have nothing but hate in your life?" I think you need to look in the mirror and see yourself. Georgia, South Carolina, wow, Ohio. Oh, your grandfather was in the Wehrmacht. Okay, that's cool. And California, all right. Hunsbrook. Okay, come on. Why are Western Europeans full of hatred? Well, they're not. So, isn't it you being full of hatred? Utah, Tennessee, Indiana. Awesome, man. Such a diverse crowd. All right. Is there a Dutch National Socialist Party? I haven't heard of it. There's not one in politics now. So, Ohio. All right. Somebody asked me a question that was removed. Okay. Western Europeans, or Europeans in general, the Central Europeans, and so Germans and Italians, we need to figure out what our future is going to look like. We can't allow outside forces to tell us what to do. We need to stop feeling basically what's wrong with being racist? What's wrong with saying, I don't want to live with you? Yeah? Isn't that normal? I get the impression that actually it's black people are always full of hatred and anger, always aggressive and violent, and white people are like really tame compared to black people, but they think we're the ones who are full of hate. That's weird, isn't it? That's so weird. I wish white people were full of hate. Then we would have solved so many problems. Italian, yeah. Are Western Europeans, yeah. Yeah, I will publish this live on my newsletter website, www.jmk.info. You can subscribe there, send me some donations if you want to, but it's not needed. And I'll probably post this one to YouTube as well. I don't trust YouTube will keep my account live for long. I've been monetized on YouTube, but of course I didn't even make 1 cent off of it, so that's nonsense. YouTube to me does not give me the reach that TikTok gives me. On TikTok, my videos can get like 500,000 views sometimes, right? 100K, 50K, easy, right? But on YouTube, 3 views, 60 views, right? People just don't use YouTube anymore, I think, you know. Yeah, you were glad to share a laugh with me. Okay. Glad you were here. There's no future for the indigenous people of Western Europe. Yes, there is. We're going to build one. It's easy. You're back. All right. Thoughts on dark whites? If you mean by dark whites, like the Welsh people and the Irish people who are not black at all, they just have dark features like dark hair, right? They're obviously white people. Yeah. White Africans, South Africans, they're my sister people, yeah. Technically, they're racially my sister people, yeah. Of course, they're welcome in the party. Yeah. At this point, nobody calls me a Nazi or a racist, and I'm supposed to take that seriously. Like, if you've used these words way too often. Nobody gives a damn anymore, man. All right. This rhetoric is so funny, huh? Yeah. I don't call Jewish people white, and I don't know about the original Israelites from the Old Testament. I have no idea. I'm not the expert on that, you know. My gold mind. All right. 13th account. Yeah, me too, man. This is my 13th account or so, 14th or so. I I lost one before this with 50K, 50,000 followers, and before that one with 20K and 15K, 18K. Right? I lost so many accounts, but I keep getting back. But I also keep getting better at phrasing my thoughts in such a way that it will not get me banned, right? I remember just 1.5 years ago or so, last year I would have like 10 strikes in a row, but also I won the appeal 10 times in a row, so my account stayed up. And I had one account that was permanently banned, and I got it back, and then it was banned again, got it back, and this went on for like 5 or 6 times before it was really definitively permanently banned. Because when you are permanently banned on TikTok, you can log in again and then apply for another appeal process. And I used to win those as well, and that's how I managed to survive my accounts. But my God, this one I've had for almost a year now, this account. Because like I said, I really figured out how to speak through the algorithm and, you know, not get thrown out again anymore. I had a strike today though, but I won the appeal. So this account is still in really good standing. I've got maybe 1 strike total, and that means I got 4 left. I might make it to 100K or 100,000 followers this time. You know? I did read the Mustache Man, but his book is not as interesting as his speeches. There's a compendium of like 4 volumes by Max Domaris, who was a chronicler who met Mustache Man, and he made a whole 4-volume collection of his speeches. Not full speeches, but he takes the important parts and so on. and they're so good. The speeches are so good. That's obviously the reason why this guy won power in Germany. His speeches were exquisite, better than the book. Yeah, I can speak German, so I used to listen on archive.org. Like, everybody hates this guy, and I'm like, okay, but that means I want to know what he said. So I listened to him, right? The name Max Domarus, or in German Max Domarus, so Max Domarus. He wrote like a four. It's in English, available in English as well. The 4-volume. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, Speeches and Proclamations. It's probably on archive.org somewhere. You gotta look for it, but I think that's where I found it. I think, yeah, archive. Right? You're an African in Budapest, and you like him, yeah. Good. Here, another insulter. Insult, insult, insult. Yeah, Max Domaris. When you come on, do you ever talk to people? Or do you mean talk to what? You know, like guests on here. Sometimes, I did an interview once with a woman, and last time I was supposed to do like a co-host with a young woman from England, but she missed the appointment, so stop. It could happen. If people would just listen to his full speeches, they would change their minds quickly. But also, like Joseph Goebbels' speeches are really good. You need to read those too. What they talk about most of the time is they don't talk so much about like the idea of white supremacy. Hitler maybe mentions this once in 20 years of speeching. It was not his concern. Hitler spoke mostly about the fact that the Russians were atheist, godless communists, and they were going to overrun Europe. That's what he was warning of. In almost all of his speeches, he was talking about the great Bolshevik threat, the threat of atheist communism. That's what he was talking about, right? He tried to warn us. And now look at Europe. Europe is the EU. It's basically a godless communist continent now, right? He warned us, but somehow he couldn't stop us, right? I should go on Jake Shields. Jake Shields is a podcaster, I assume. I don't know all these people, but I'll look him up, Jake Shields. Podcast person? Okay. Who knows, yeah. The thing is, people who didn't read the speeches by Goebbels, for example, they wouldn't know that what they're talking about is they're railing against materialism, against godless communism and atheism, right? Against interest and rent and usury. That's what they rail against, right? And so people completely misunderstand that. They think it was all about, they just thought they were superior. They didn't. They hardly spoke about that. So yeah, he he hated communists even more. Yeah. Absolutely. So I don't know where his house is, man. Don't really like Red Ice TV. Don't really trust them. They're from the alt-right age. Like 10 years ago, we had the alt-right. And I never trusted any of those, like Milo Yiannopoulos and so on, whoever was in there in those days. I never trusted them. I never really connected with them. I decided to carve out my own path. And by distrusting everyone so far, I've made it to here. Well, Yeah, 7-day tour. I have a Red Note account nowadays. Yeah, uh, same username, I think. All right. Should I elaborate about usury? Usury is when, for example, somebody rents you a house and you have to pay taxes or interest and you have to pay rent. Usury is if you have a Hulu subscription or a Netflix subscription, that's kind of usury as well. You're always paying for something that you're supposed to own, right? Aren't you supposed to own like cable or something? No, they give you a subscription for this, a separate one for that, and that's usury. It's how they suck you dry, really. They just plunder you that way. So the whole subscription-based internet world where everything is a subscription, that's just evil. Because that's what always bleeds. It's like bleeding money, right? You don't want to do that. That's why in my life, I always became very aware of my subscriptions and what am I paying into. And if I knew I didn't need something, I would cancel it. Always cancel all these subscriptions I didn't really need and try to do without them, right? So I don't have Netflix and I don't pay for Spotify. I don't have subscriptions like that because those things, that's bleeding money, man. They're sucking you dry like leeches. That's usury technically. You're the purest form of nationalism you've come across. All right, well, yeah, I do like compliments sometimes because it offsets the massive abuse that I also get on the other end, right? I have people, I get death threats. People insult me for whatever. Um, I became aware of it that most of the insults that people give me most often do not relate to me, have nothing to do with me. It's like they're not reading me right, but I can't change it. All I can do is put on a nice tie and you know what, call me whatever you want. But I'd rather be insulted for who I really am than to be loved playing a role that makes me feel miserable, right? Murdoch, yeah. That was a good one. I loved Murdoch, yeah. And Walt Bismarck back in the days, yeah. What do you use to watch movies? Popcorn Time still works. I think you can go to GitHub and there's the Popcorn Time app. It still works, at least in Europe. It has all the documentaries and all the movies on it, so I don't need anything else, and the series and so on. I don't really watch. I sometimes watch a documentary, rarely a movie, and no TV series. I used to watch Simpsons or something or South Park, but then I grew out of that, got older, and I'm like, I don't really care about that no more. I think Family Guy was the limit for me. Family Guy is really funny, but it's also extremely degenerate, and that's when I decided, you know what, I don't want this shit in my life anymore, man. Leave me alone. Yeah, yeah, the heated seat subscription in your new electric car. That's usury. Yeah, that's when we should be drumming up the people and rallying, you know, rounding them up, round them up. You sell us a subscription for heated seats? Rot in hell. Are all nationalist leaders in Europe cocks for Israel? I think a lot of them are, yeah. In the Netherlands, for sure. And where else? Meloni. Do you trust Meloni? I don't really trust her. Uh, Hungary's Orban. Although he's so good, he says the right things, but then Orban is a friend of Israel. He loves Netanyahu, right? Things like that. It's hard. Why always Israel? I did a whole show about this with Daniel Natal on the Daniel Natal show on YouTube. We did 2 videos together for an hour long videos. You may check him out there on. I'll type his name in right now here. Daniel Natal show on YouTube, and we tried to figure out together, like, why is it that the West and the USA especially always supports Israel, always Israel, and it may have something to do with location. Israel is an important location for global trade routes. And if you control that area, you can kind of like dominate the Suez Canal, which is in Egypt. But if you have the Israeli military next to the Suez Canal, you can kind of guarantee that you're getting your shipment through, right? And that's probably what Israel is. It's just an outpost for the U.S. empire. Yeah. But for us Europeans, the matter is different. If we manage to sail north across the northern sea route, across the coast of Russia, we would reach Beijing 7 days sooner than any ship through the Suez Canal. So for us Europeans, there's an alternative possibility, but then we will get trouble with the U.S. They won't like that. Orban is just like Israel, right? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, that's so my opinion that Orban says a lot of the right things, but in the end, he's in bed with Israel. Yeah. Geert Wilders, what is he doing? Last time I saw anything about Geert Wilders in the Netherlands, the PVV, he was on a date with Zelensky in Ukraine. So no, I don't think all the Western leaders are in bed with NATO. They're all pro-Ukraine, and none of them can explain why, because they don't need to, right? I'm not a Freemason. I just found out a few weeks ago that Freemasonry came out of Protestantism. The early Freemasons were all Protestants, and they saw themselves opposite of the Catholics in Europe. So Catholicism and Freemasonry used to be the opposites fighting each other. That might explain a lot. If you want to understand European history, it's more like that. Yeah. The Freemasons helped the British Empire expand because they became like the lodges for men. If you're a man working in the British Empire and they send you out to India, you would like to meet other men that you can talk to in English, right? And so they had these lodges. The Freemason lodges really helped cultivate that kind of the officers' clubs, the leadership of the British Empire. They all came together in those kinds of clubs, but they were opposite to Catholicism. In the early days, Catholics were not allowed to join the Freemasonry. So, and I'm Roman Catholic, right? So, what's wrong with being pro-Ukraine? I think Europe should take Ukraine, yes, and we should use their resources. But then the idea that Russia is supposed to be the enemy, we have to defeat them, is a bit problematic, since Russia also has a ton of resources that we could use in Europe. It's just that the United States doesn't want a Europe allied with Russian resources, because then Europe and Russia together would become more powerful than the USA. And so we're being held under the thumb of the Americans, basically. They're trampling on Europe to make sure that we don't become powerful. That's why they destroyed Germany, of course, in 1945. They didn't want Germany to get stronger. And that, I feel that it's the story of European psychology, is that we have the potential to be way more dominant than we currently are, but we're being held under the boot of people who don't want us to get strong. And that's what I'm trying to break out of. I think Eva Vlaardingenbroek is also controlled opposition, right? Like I said earlier, I don't trust anybody. No, I don't trust these people, especially not good-looking women, blonde and young, and they talk about being this and that. I don't trust them, you know? I don't trust the political ones. Yeah. Europe should be able to just dominate Russia and then get a really good deal out of trade with them, and while we expand our own footprint in the world. And no, we don't. I'm tired of Europe being anyone's bitch, really. I don't know much about Kabbalah. I've read a little bit about it, but it seems not for me. You know? But why does Russia have poor manufacturing? You mean they're not smart enough to invent things or so? I think it's more about the fact that Russia needs the European market to sell their goods. So I love all the viewers coming in. I've been doing so many live streams in the past 2 years. At first, I didn't know I could do it. I had a hard time filling an hour with speaking. Uh, I just didn't know what to say. And now it seems easier to me to do it. Yeah. Anything is a skill. Speaking is a skill. If you practice it a lot, you will get better at it. Though whether you're a talented speaker depends on your intelligence, your knowledge, and how quickly you can get the facts out. Right? How quickly can you find facts in your brain and get them up front, get them in front of you again, and talk about it. Right? That's important to make links between what you know. Thank you very much. Yeah, I look all right today. Germany is by far the most cucked country in the world. Absolutely. I totally agree. Well, they lost the war, so yeah. It's understandable, but maybe in the future we will do something about it. Yeah? Yeah, you can write me in Dutch, but I'll answer in English, right? Because I don't do Dutch language live streams anymore. I used to do those, but the Dutch audience is different. They are far more negative toward me. And it may be because Dutch people are a little bit infantile. They are children. And when you are smarter than them, when you're smarter than children, they get mad. Right? Yeah, we need somebody for Europe who really represents us. Well, I'm doing what I can speaking on these shows. I always intended to go outside and start doing speeches, but I want to reach, I don't want to have audiences of people over age 50. I want audience of people under age 40 because I want to reach the generations that are actually going to build the future. And the old people, they need to just donate their money, right? Is the AFD controlled opposition? Maybe. Like I said, like these kinds of parties, they're good on the content level, but if you look at their leadership, you're going to have like, oh, not this again, not that again, you know? The leadership is just no good, you know? Oh, you speak Dutch from New Zealand, eh? That's great. Right, right. Yeah, yeah, if you're too smart, you have to dumb it down. Yeah. If you have to dumb yourself down to talk to your own family, that's when you know you're smart, right? You make common sense, yeah, Janice. Yeah. People these days are too much in a delusional spiral. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Europe has no strong leader to make us thrive. No. We presently don't. That's just the truth. Oh, somebody subscribed to my. Oh, you subscribed to my channel. That's really great. I got subscribers. Yeah, cool. Oh, I have 2 subscribers in total now. Wow. You're gonna offer. I'm gonna get a cup of tea, cup of coffee a month out of this. Center right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I didn't want to say it out loud, but that AFD leader is in a relationship with Alice Weidel, in a relationship with this Indian woman from Sri Lanka. And what? You don't represent what we want. Come on. This is so tiring, and all these right-wing leaders, all of them, man, almost all of them are controlled opposition or some kind of scam or whatever it is, grifters, you know. What have you read by Nietzsche? A lot, man. ecce homo, you know, the will to, what was it? The will to power. Yeah. And Zarathustra. I read a 1600 page long treatise by the psychiatrist Carl Jung on Nietzsche's Zarathustra. The seminar on Nietzsche's Zarathustra, 1600 pages, is probably the most interesting 1600 pages I've ever read. It was so good. It really drills down into the psychology of everything, but also the occult and so on. It's really good. Yeah. Weidel is better than Maloney. Probably is, yeah. But I still think, where are the men? We need men leaders. I need to step up. But I'm going to look for what I can do. But, we are dealing with... I don't think I can succeed in politics, but I might succeed from a religious angle, kickstarting a sort of movement for people who've had truly enough of the world the way it is and are ready to risk a little to see if we can build something else. And maybe religion can serve as a push, like a motivation to get people to go and do something. Because I don't see opportunities in politics, man. The legal system is turned against you. The political system will never accept you. Then what else is left? I don't know if we can start a political party again, and then what? You get 3 seats in the parliament out of 150. You'll never have any influence, right? You'll never really do anything. That's not it. We want to have results. Something needs to go, something needs to happen, and I wonder how to do it. You could have like a non-violent revolution. A non-violent revolution starts with people simply clocking out. Like, we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to be a part of this anymore. We don't want this anymore. We're just going to resist by refusing to take part. No, I don't know Matt Hill. I'll Google it. Matthew Hill. He's got a Wikipedia page. All right. All right, he's associated to this Ben Klassen. Okay, yeah, I've heard of that, yeah. All right. Convicted for racial slurs. Yeah, that's how they do it. They attack your speech. It's the whole speech thing is just an excuse to take you out of the system. That's all it is. It's really nonsense, Yeah, Pim Fortuyn was not controlled opposition, no. Pim Fortuyn from the Netherlands. Yeah, I'm Dutch. There's no democracy, yeah. We no longer we have a totalitarian system in Western Europe. It's all fake, right? Do you think Trump can be helpful to Europe at all? He can be helpful by energizing us to also start voting against the woke. If we could get rid of the woke, then a lot can be forgiven about Trump. But we have to get rid of the woke. Did you see that? There was this woman in a wheelchair and they had her breasts removed because she couldn't talk, but her parents said she wanted to be a boy, so they cut off her breasts. That is just a crime against humanity. I don't understand why those are in jail. Why aren't those parents, the surgeons, the consultants involved in it, why aren't they in jail? It's really extreme. It's like, what are you doing, You will never be forgiven. And the only one who spoke out was the president of Belarus about the WHO. Yeah, the president of Belarus. Yeah, what's his name? I liked him. I saw a documentary with him. He's the only real masculine leader in Europe. Alexander Lukashenko. Yeah, he's the only real masculine ruler in Europe, and everybody hates him. But he's not a bad guy, man. He's not bad. He didn't go along with the COVID jab scare, for example, He told his people, it's just the flu, get over it, Did his people go extinct? No, they didn't die. They're still fine. It's like you're the only fighter in my country. Are you from the Netherlands, then? Lukashenko, yeah. All your mates talk about the great Johannes. Nah, nah. We need more woke? No. It radicalizes people. Yeah, I don't know, man. I actually felt that AI may be the reason why normies are finally waking up. Because there are so many scams with like pictures of Brad Pitt scamming women, right? And if they get scammed too often, then maybe finally they're going to start talking about this fact that they shouldn't believe their eyes and ears any longer. They should use their brain for thinking, right? I think normies, I think the real AI revolution is when normies are fed up with all the fake scams and they start revolting. Like, remember a year ago or so, there was this Willy Wonka chocolate wonderland in London somewhere, and it was advertised with AI. And when they got there, it was just it was just an empty factory hall with with nothing there and these creepy actors. Right, that damages the normie faith in their reality. They no longer trust reality. They're not going to invest in it anymore. The system will collapse. Yeah. Yeah, the Netherlands is a far left country, totalitarian. You know. Croatia. Oh yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah, Croatian leader was also against the jibby jab. Yeah. Faustian Soul. I've seen you around. Thoughts on feminism? Yeah, that's a really big topic. You know. You see, the opposite of Western feminism is not to put Andrew Tate in charge of Europe and then enslave the women with chains around their necks or something, right? That's disgusting, right? So there is a better way is where men and women learn to like and love each other a bit more, right? In a way where the women are not treated as slaves, but neither are the men treated as dirt, right? If we would just appreciate each other a little bit more, we could do away with that Islam and do away with feminism, right? That's my goal. Do away with both those, do away with both Islam and feminism, and get our act sorted out so we in the West can feel like we're on the same team. We're not the same, but we're on the same team, kind of still supporting each other. The bond between men and women in the West needs to be restored, right? And you don't do that by following Andrew Tate and telling women that they're nothing and they need to be chained to a wall or something. That's just weird. Feminism is communism, yeah. Tate is cringe, yeah, that's what I'd say, yeah. Yeah, I'm baptized Roman Catholic. I support Christianity in Europe, right? The billionaires are the enemies, yeah. I saw something really good, a really good take on TikTok today. In the medieval times, the rich people of Europe launched the Renaissance. And what do our modern billionaires do for us? They give us depression. That's so good. Do you like Lauren Southern? You know, for a long time, I thought Lauren Southern was born male, like it's a transgender. I remember seeing a video of it when it was 15 years old and it didn't look like a girl. Tate does it for the views, yeah. Lauren Simonson, yeah, I think she's Jewish, but I think she was born male. I can't prove it, but I don't trust these, man. I don't trust them. The H-1B visa scandal, that was treason. If Trump and Musk now want to replace the white middle class after they replaced the lower class with Mexicans, now they want to replace the middle class with Indians, huh? Oh, ha ha. That's treason. They better not. If you want to be on the same team, why you mostly attack skin color? I only want to be on the same team with white women, not with black women. Ugh. Lauren who? Exactly. Uh, Refeudalization of the little people is the goal of our elites. Yeah. I support an aristocracy that fights and wins battles for their people, so that the people benefit. Right. So there has to be this relationship between the elites and the people, so that they both get something out of it. And this contract, the social contract, has been breached so long ago. Our globalist elites care more about what Chinese people want to buy than about what is good for our children here, right? How do I manage to stay up? I don't know. I haven't been caught yet, you know? You're white, but you hate people of color. I just don't care about them. I don't want to live with them. It's not about their color. It's about their culture, their attitude, their brains, their minds, right? You know, we're not allowed to talk about differences, but there is a difference in intelligence. And if it's too big, you're going to have to remove the self-checkouts from the supermarkets, because there's a class of people who can't use them, right? So we need to be able to progress at our own speed and to do things that match our abilities, rather than always be forced to pay taxes to babysit a bunch of people from the third world who have nothing to add to us, who don't contribute to us. We don't need them. You know, if I want children, I'll have children. I don't need to import them from Africa. You know, the problem is that the far right is viewed as the essence of evil. I don't pay any attention to that, whatever these people say, man, the leftists, you know. I don't watch soccer anymore precisely for that reason. That's right. I turn on the TV and I see an all-African team in the Netherlands, and it's like, hey, they're playing for my country? Really? Okay, well, I guess I don't like soccer anymore. No, first time I went to the USA, it was 2000, early 2000 something, 2004 or so. Yeah. Why isn't the sunscreen locked away at Walgreens? Everybody knows the answer, right? Racism. Bread and circuses. Thoughts on Keir Starmer? He may be severely autistic, so we should be very careful about this man, not to mock him for his condition. You know? And why do you think Germany is still refusing to cut welfare but want to increase taxes? Yeah. It may be deliberate genocide of the white people, that this is just their plan. But then again, we're not dead yet, so we can just do whatever we want then. If they don't want us anymore, we have no loyalty to these systems. We should just find the courage to break out, the breakaway movement. I don't believe in attacking the government, because what for? I don't want to conquer Berlin full of Muslims. I want to get my white people out of there so we can start over. So I'm looking more to a breakaway movement, a breakout movement. Let's leave this shit behind and start over movement. I go live once a week or so. This is a special occasion because I thought I'll do it on Friday, because the Americans might not be here anymore next week. Usually I do them on Wednesday evenings, 8 p.m. my time, Amsterdam time. I don't know Ibrahim Traore. I don't know who that is. I will. Yeah, I created an Instagram account at the Great JMK on Instagram. I'm going to repost my TikToks there. Maybe not all of them, but maybe the better ones I will post them on. All right, you've been watching me for over a year, maybe longer. You wanted to say thanks, yeah. No problem. I feel very motivated to keep speaking, but through the speaking, I want to achieve certain goals. And I'm at that point now, okay, now I really have to go and start achieving goals. So I'm figuring out how to do this. As a man with small means, I have a little bit of savings, but I'm not rich and I don't have billionaire friends. So how do you do it? That's why I was thinking of religion. With religion, you might potentially capture a very large audience if they're susceptible to a new message, a religious message. they might fight for that, So I think religion might be able to counter the almost invincible power of money in our society. Elon Musk can just buy Indians to build him a bridge. I would have to inspire people to build a bridge because God wills it, right? Otherwise, and you're not getting paid. You have to bring your own lunch when you build the bridge for me. So that's the difference. Can it be done? And I think so. There is potential, but we need to figure this out together. I can't do it on my own. I need anybody who can help out. We'll figure it out. What do you want most from your American audience? I don't know. I'm not very needy. I don't need or want too much. Well, I think I would like Americans in America to show the world that you can successfully shut down the woke, especially the surgery, the castrations on kids, the mastectomies. Right? That needs to end. And if you can show the world that you can do that, I think we will think of you as a very great people. Yeah. All right, the Benelux is just a name for Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, yeah. But they're actually building what they call the tri-state city, turning the Netherlands into a giant city like New York. They want to build back better, presumably by burning everything to the ground like they did in LA, right? Although I doubt it. You can burn LA, but I doubt that you can rebuild it. Definitely not. Because how are you going to do it? If they want to rebuild LA and turn it into a smart city, they're going to have to use Chinese technology and Chinese workers probably too. We need to throw our governments in the bin, yeah. You're right. That's it, isn't it? We're in such a dystopia right now that we have to explain why castrating kids is bad. Yeah. My God, man. Couldn't the globalists exile us to an island or country like England did to create Australia? Well, there's actually 700 million white people still living in Europe, the European continent. How are they going? Where are they going to send us? Europe is our island. Let's make Europe our island, right? Yeah, the story about Los Angeles, I would, if I were in charge, I would I would arrest Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom for questioning. Yeah, they know a lot more. But I don't think they're even the masterminds. Clearly there are others who are the masterminds, but Europe is our homeland. We've got nothing else. We have every right to live here. We evolved here. We will stay here. Our end hasn't come yet. I mentioned this today in a video I made. In European winters, the plants and the animals, they hibernate, right? They go to sleep like as though they were dying. And then they come back to life in the spring. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to come back to life. We, the people of this continent, we can't die because we don't die. We always resurrect ourselves. Here in Wales, you have a hospital for the genital mutilation patients. Right, it's really horrible there. It's just it just needs to stop, right? All right, I've been speaking to you for almost 2 hours now, and I'm gonna call it quits for today. I'll be back on Wednesday, most likely Wednesday evening. Maybe around 8 p.m. or so, 9 p.m. And then I'll talk to you later. You can go to my my credentials. I've got Twitter X at JohannesMKX. I have a YouTube at the Great Johannes. My Instagram at the Great JMK. And my newsletter, www.jmk.info. So, all right. I'm gonna log off now. All right. Hey, it was really fun talking to you, and see you next time. End live. Goodbye.